Right. Well, welcome everyone. This is David Ross with the Mental Health and Recovery Board, and today we have the third in a three-part series. We've been partnering with the Ohio Attorney General's office, and today's session is going to be on identity theft. With us today is Katie Harper. Katie's an outreach coordinator for the Consumer Protection section of the Ohio Attorney General's office. She has 25 years of public service and is currently presenting on identity theft, consumer, and senior scams. And remember, these presentations are all going to be recorded and on the Mental Health and Recovery Board's YouTube page. So if you've missed any of the three in the series, you can easily watch them. And remember too that we're bringing this to you as part of 2021's Elderly Empowerment Month. We've really taken the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day and turned it into a month of activities to support our seniors, provide information to caregivers. We're real excited about the month of June to support our seniors in a variety of different ways. And we're thrilled that Katie could join us from the Ohio Attorney General's office today. And Katie, without further ado, I will turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Again, I'm Katie Harper from the Attorney General's office, and I'll be presenting to you our identity theft presentation today. We're with the Attorney General's office, and we have our main office in downtown Columbus, where the majority of the attorneys work. We also have our Police Officer Training Academy in Richfield, Ohio, and our Bureau of Criminal Investigations in London, Ohio. So what is consumer protection? Consumer protection ensures a safe marketplace for consumers. And our division enforces laws related to home improvement work, store advertising, and buying vehicles. Here are some of our most common complaints from 2020. Motor vehicles receive the most, and that's generally when someone's having a difficulty receiving the title of their car from the dealership from which they purchased it. Number two, not surprisingly, were coronavirus related complaints. So hopefully we'll see that drop off our complaint list for this year. And then just some of the other areas in which we can help you if you're dealing with an issue with a supplier, shopping food or beverages, like I said on the last slide, home improvement, if you're having a dispute over payment of utility bills, and our topic for today, identity theft. So what is identity theft? Identity theft occurs when a person obtains and uses your personal information without your permission to commit fraud. So we emphasize both obtain and use in this definition because they have to come together for it to be identity theft. We'll talk about data breaches a little bit later, but that's one example of maybe you have a specific credit card, and that credit card, the people who issue that were hacked. Now, if they only receive, say, the number on the front of the credit card, but not your name, the start and expiration date of the card, and the security card on the back, they don't have any practical use for just that credit card number. So they have to, one, obtain enough information to be able to make a purchase or to fill out items in your name, and then go ahead and make use of it. So we'll spend a good amount of time in the presentation talking about personal identifying information. So what is it? Things like you can find on your driver's license or state ID, your name, address, phone number, and license number, or in the case of a state ID, your state ID number. Credit card numbers. Again, having the expiration date and the PIN number available. Bank account numbers, and then PIN numbers for either of those two accounts. Passwords to your electronic devices, your birth certificate, and social security number. So when we talk about types of identity theft, we also need to think about what your personal identifiable information is. So credit account, that's when someone is accessing either your bank account, credit card, debit card in order to use that capability of purchasing power. So they would need to know your bank account number or credit card number. This is one of the more common types. And if they get a hold of your actual card instead of just using it for online purposes, a lot of times identity thieves will stop by and get a gallon of gas to see if the card is still active and working. Medical identity theft. Medical identity theft is when someone either attempts to be admitted to an emergency room or some kind of direct medical service using your personal identifiable information. In this case, it would be just about everything: your name, your address, social security number or Medicare number, insurance, and billing information. Another type of medical identity theft is when someone arranges to purchase medical devices you may be entitled to through Social Security or Medicare using your personal identifiable information. So things like back braces, scooters, walkers, those type of things. And then tax identity theft. We recommend that, as long as you don't owe any money, fill out your taxes as early in the tax season as possible. This will prevent someone else from trying to file on your behalf and to receive your return. And again, they would do this utilizing your personal identifiable information. Other types of identity theft include child in foster care. This is an unfortunate occurrence where adults will utilize the personal identifiable information of their children or children who are in their custody. This can occur if the adult in the situation may have bad credit, may not be able to open up utilities or rental properties in their name. So they use the child's personal identifiable information, their social security number, to be able to pass a background check, because there wouldn't be any negative items on that child's identity at the time. Criminal identity theft. This would happen if someone was, rather than using your personal information to try to purchase something, they were using it to live under. So if they are trying to pass themselves off with your social security number, name, and date of birth, and then, use that information when they are arrested. And then utility is when, as I used as an example in the child in foster care identity theft, when someone attempts to open up a utility in your name. And I had one particular example of this. We used to have a table at a group called First Step. that was run by the city of Columbus. And this was an attempt to provide services for persons who are transitioning from being incarcerated back into society. And identity theft was one of the things that we really spoke to those folks about, because there were people who had access to their personal identifiable information while they were incarcerated. So there's a possibility that that could have been used. And the gentleman did say he got out, came home, and found out his former significant other had opened up, as he put it, the good cable in his name. And now under his name, he owed hundreds and hundreds of dollars of the person not actually paying the bill on that account. So what isn't identity theft? Anything that you put your personal information and you share it online, if someone ends up using that information, it's not necessarily identity theft. It just means that you're putting out a lot of information about yourself online. If you've authorized someone to use your personal information, whether it be power of attorney or maybe granting them some financial rights for you. And then data breaches. That's where information that could be tied to you is released, but doesn't have any practical way of being tied directly to you. So like the example of the credit card previously, that if, say, your name was released as having a Target Visa card, but the number and the expiration date and the security card weren't connected with that, then that really doesn't amount to identity theft. So how do thieves get your information? One common way is hacking into the computer systems, whether it's your work or personal. Also could be into any handheld device, phone or tablet you may have. Phone and internet scams. So one of the ways that identity thieves get your information is you can give it to them. So if someone calls you on the phone and says, there's an example, that your bank account has been hacked into and you need to provide your name and social security number to reset the account. Your bank isn't ever going to call you and ask for that information. Another way are pop-ups like you see on the screen here. Never click on a pop-up. The only place that you should click on the pop-up is where the red X is to have it minimized on your computer. Don't ever click on anything that's inside of that box, whether it's the links or the OK button. My parents recently told me of an internet scam that had come through their email box. And again, it was antivirus software. And they said that they owed $400 for an updated version and to click on the link to proceed for payment. Now, fortunately, they've seen my scams presentation, so they knew not to do that. But be aware of unsolicited computer, either products, advice, or maintenance that come through your email or through a pop-up. And again, lost or stolen wallets. This is why we encourage in all of our presentations that people not carry their driver's license and their social security card together unless they're using the Social Security card that day. Because that, going back to personal identifiable information, your name, your address, where you live, your date of birth, paired with your Social Security number, is an instant recipe for someone to steal your identity. Unlock mailboxes. As people are transitioning to more and more online bill paying and less receiving bills in the mail, this has decreased slightly, but it is a good reminder to keep track of what bills and correspondence you are receiving through the mail. Dumpster diving. If you are going to dispose of any mail or documents that have the personal identifiable information that we've been discussing during this presentation, make sure you either shred it first through a home shredder or take it to a reputable shred it day. There are a lot of times either your local police department, library, or fire department will hold a secure shred it day. So because thieves will go through the dumpster to look for that type of information. Also a good reminder to maybe take a Sharpie marker, or if you can, remove the label for any prescription medicine you may have. It's always good to make sure that whatever medicine you may be taking, particularly if it's for pain relief, that you don't want people to be able to track that back to you or your home for security reasons. Okay, now that we've talked about what identity theft is, what are some of the warning signs of identity theft? That you're all of a sudden denied credit. If you have always had pretty decent credit, maybe not perfect, but definitely not low credit, being denied credit when you apply for it is a big red flag. Any unauthorized charges or withdrawals in your accounts. So make sure that you check your billing statement every month when you receive it for credit debit cards. And if you don't receive a paper statement for either your bank accounts or your credit accounts, make sure to set a schedule, maybe, you know, once or twice a month, to scroll through and make sure that there are not any unauthorized charges. Also, many credit cards and financial institutions can set up alerts for unusual purchases on your account if you would like to do that as well. If debt collectors start contacting you, you receive unfamiliar bills or no longer receive mail. That's, as I was mentioning before, can be a little tricky if you, like I, have kind of a mixed method of payment. Some bills arrive in the mail, some bills are automatically deducted, and some bills you have to go online to pay. So just keep track of them, because that can also be a warning sign of identity theft. And then errors on your credit report. Now, sometimes this can happen by accident, but it is a red flag to make sure that you all your accounts are secure. So your credit report. Usually you can obtain one free annual credit report from each agency per year, and that's through Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Also at annualcreditreport.com if you want to access all three of them at the same time. But one of the benefits that came out of the COVID relief bill in coordination with it is Annual Credit Report agreed to allow pretty much open access to your credit report to pull as often as you would like until April of 2022. So if you haven't requested a copy of your credit report in the last year or two, now would be a great opportunity. And again, you can visit www.annualcreditreport.com. Accessing your credit report does not affect your credit score, so that's a good thing to remember. This is what you'll see when you go to annualcreditreport.com. The opening pages has information about how to access your credit reports, the ability to request it, a little breakdown of what to look for on your credit report. They also have some information on spotting identity theft. So that might be a nice place to get some additional information. This is an example of one page of an individual's credit report. You can see we've marked out the identity there. And they have different sections. The credit summary. And that's what you can see. The second one being account information. At the bottom, it shows all of the accounts of this person's credits. The next are inquiries. So if you've been out, say, car shopping, or if you apply for a store credit card, that's where you would see that. Also, potentially, if you've been applying for new jobs, and one of the requirements for that job is to run a credit report. Any negative information, be number 4, things such as bankruptcies, liens, garnishments, or other financial judgments. Then your personal information. The next area is if when you go to the accounts or any negative information and it's incorrect, number 6 shows you how to dispute those charges. So if you look down at the bottom, the type of accounts that are listed, there's a mortgage, and it has, you know, what the balance is, what the monthly payment amount is. Also installment loans, that may be a car loan. Revolving are usually credit cards, and then any others. So that's kind of basic rundown of your credit report. One way that you can help prevent identity theft, or if you have found something also on your credit report that you're disputing and don't find to be accurate, you can place an initial fraud alert. And you can do this by contacting one of the 3 credit reporting agencies. It stays on for 1 year. It's free to place. It doesn't affect your credit score. And with the fraud alert, you only have to report to one of the 3 credit reporting agencies, because they will forward that information along to the other 2, which is a little different than a credit freeze. When you freeze your credit, you have to individually contact all 3 credit reporting agencies. And this is a really unique tool because a credit freeze literally does not let anyone, including yourself, access your credit without using the PIN code that you will be assigned when you freeze your credit. So if that's one sure way to fight against identity theft. It's permanent in Ohio, so you can freeze and unfreeze as you will. It's also free now to place, lift, or remove a credit freeze. Also does not affect your credit score. One thing to be careful about when utilizing this option is that you will be the only person who can unfreeze your credit. They don't store the PIN code that you have at any of the agencies. So if you're going to use this version, make sure you have a secure place to store that information. Child identity theft. Ohio law allows for child credit freeze. This can only be done for children under 16, or if you are the guardian of a disabled adult. You have to be able to prove that you are that person's parent or guardian, like a birth certificate. And it's also free to place a child credit freeze. So now that we've talked a little bit more about identity theft and your credit report, we'll go through some ways to reduce your risk of identity theft. Be a little proactive. This is kind of the stranger danger idea. Don't volunteer information. Ask why someone needs that information. Make sure you shred any documents that have personal identifiable information. Monitor your financial statements, whether it's in paper form or online. Create a mail schedule. So if you notice you're missing bills or start receiving bills you shouldn't, you'll have a little checklist to compare. And then don't carry extra personal information. And this is mainly referring toward your Social Security card and Medicare card. If you're not using them, you don't need to have them in your wallet with all your other personal identifiable information and financial information in the form of either a credit card or debit card. Because a lot of the initial contact for persons trying to take your identity theft come through online devices, whether it's your computer, tablet, or smartphone, thought we'd give you some online safety tips. Beware of attachments, downloads, and pop-ups. Like we say with our robocall initiative, just don't answer it. Don't click on it. If you don't know where those attachments, downloads, or pop-ups are coming from, they could very well be infected with malware, which is a virus that will disable your computer. Keep your antivirus and anti-spyware programs or operating systems up to date. Watch out for scam websites and emails. This can be incredibly difficult because the sophistication level of scammers is increasing, and they can pull logos or artwork from legitimate websites, create their own, and it looks very similar to the original. And then don't ever allow remote access to any of your devices to strangers. Generally, the ask will be involved with the antivirus IT repair scam, and they'll say that your computer may be compromised, and in order to secure your information, they need to, run a check on your system, and they'll ask you for the serial number of that device. That's how they can access your computer. And then potentially, if you have documents saved that have your tax information or your bank account information, then they can use that information through your device, because you've now allowed access to it, to wipe out your bank account. So make sure not to allow remote access to your computer to strangers. Some other online safety tips. It may be a better idea if you're making online purchases to use your credit card versus your debit card. There's more protections using a credit card than a debit card, and it has the advantage of not directly withdrawing funds from your account, so you have more time to dispute it. Make sure you use secure websites. You'll see things like the HTTPS for secure, and then at the end there will be a little lock, so that indicates a secure website. Be very careful what you access when using free public Wi-Fi. So if you go in, say to Panera, and are going to go have lunch and want to use their Wi-Fi because you're checking sports scores or looking up trivia online, that's one thing. But don't ever access password protected things on public Wi-Fi. So things like online banking, don't go in and check your account, because if there are scammers on the shared Wi-Fi, they can get into your account while you're both connected to the same Wi-Fi connection. So beware of that. Try to make sure you have really hard to guess password reset questions. So this also bear in mind of what you post on social media. In this question, it says, what is the name of your oldest niece? That might seem to be, a good one, but not if you're always posting pictures with the name of your oldest niece online. Scammers know what type of questions they have. So when you're thinking about password reset questions, also take a moment to think about what information you may be sharing publicly online, and then don't choose that question. We have an identity theft unit at the Ohio Attorney General's office. So if you do find that you become a victim of identity theft, you can call our office and we can help walk you through the steps that you need to do to, say, file the initial police report, work with the credit bureau and correspondence that needs to happen with that, or with any other potential businesses that the person opened an account with under your name. So just to recap, protect your identity. Remember, shred. Use secure websites, hard to guess passwords, review your credit report at least once a year, empty your wallet. So what's that again? Not carrying around extra personal identifiable information, such as your Social Security card or your Medicare card. And dispose them appropriately. Anything with your anything with your personal identifiable information should be either shredded at home before put in recycling or taken to a secure shredded event. If you find you have been a victim of identity theft, or if you would like to file a complaint against a business, if you feel like you've been treated unfairly, you can do that at www.ohioprotects.org. And that's what the complaint form on our website looks like. Or you could also call our office at 800-282-0515. Okay, well, thank you very much for attending this presentation. And if you have any future questions, feel free to submit them. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Katie. I like that SHRED as an acronym. That's a nice thing that we can all take with us as a reminder of how to keep ourselves safer. And I was so happy that you addressed the pop-up issue. That is one of my, I know there's pop-up blockers that I know I install those, but every once in a while you still get those pop-ups that come up, and I just don't know, like you said, the only safe spot is the X, and that was kind of my question. It's sometimes I feel like I can't click anything, because I feel like if I click anything, it'll take me to wherever I don't want to go. So thank you
Right.
for addressing that. And those are sometimes very pervasive, and I just makes me very nervous when they pop up.
I agree.
Well, thank you again, Katie. And like I said, we will have this posted on the board's YouTube channel, and we're hopeful that folks take advantage of this wonderful information. And we just want you and your loved ones to be safe. Thank you again, Katie.
Thank you, and have a great day.
All right, bye.